This is the Rising Goddess Podcast, and I'm your host, Michelle Torrance. This is a space where when we start diving deep, we're talking spiritual, mental, and physical. We're getting real and connecting with ourselves and others in the most intimate ways. We'll be talking all things sacred sexual, relationship building, womb healing, connection, and connecting with and through our bodies, how to use our sexual and sensual energies to create, manifest, and heal our lives in our individual and collective ancient feminine lines, while intertwining our healing and connection with the divine masculine. We'll learn from amazing humans who take time and share their wisdom and sacred healing magic. Rising humans who are here in this world to be healers, teachers, guides, priestesses, warriors, shamans, and all divine sisters and brothers in rising. We'll get witchy, sassy, sexy, and saucy, talking all things that align us with our true nature and authentic selves, creating a community of divine feminine and masculine rising to be a massive part in this shift of world healing. So grab some green juice, light some cannabis, get your blankets, or sit by the fire. Let's rise up together. Catch you on the inside, dolls. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of Rising Goddess Radio. Today, I am so excited because today's episode is actually going to be a recurring experience. We are having conscious conversations with Claire. If you are not familiar with Claire, you have probably heard me say Claire's name quite a few times throughout many different other podcasts, or even just live if you're following me over on Facebook or Instagram. But Claire is my best friend. She is my soul sister. She is part of my soul crew. And she and I have super, super intense, deep, conscious, spiritual, evolution changing, rapidly expansive conversations. And we really allow each other to trigger emotion within each other, to activate thought of curiosity, to dive in and start to learn. And so one day we were sitting and I was like, you know what, we need to record a conversation, because so many other people can experience amazing shifts in their life just by sitting on the couch with us and having conversations. So that's what we decided to do. An exciting thing is if you are part of the Rising Goddess VIP, then you actually get to see the video of Claire and I having that conversation, and of course many other things within the Rising Goddess VIP membership. So if you're not familiar with Claire Jones is a network marketer, trailblazer, an empath, introvert, truth seeker, alignment, then action specialist, a mother of 3, a lover of donuts, magic, and real, authentic, vulnerable conversations. And so you're going to see the connection between Claire and I, and how our conversations tend to go off into different trails and pathways and curves. And I even say it in the video where our conversations are kind of like the windy road in San Francisco, right? I'm really excited for you to experience this. So make sure you head on over to Michelle Torrance, the Rising Goddess Facebook page, and leave your comments, questions, and anything else over there on that. And make sure that you're downloaded and leave your review, rate us over, download us over on iTunes, because without you, your words, your input, your support, your love, then we just can't rise. So thank you for all your love and support, and I will catch you on the inside later. Hello, my beautiful rising humans, and welcome to this next episode of Rising Goddess Radio. Today, this is going to be a super, 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 super fun, amazing conversation. This is going to be fantastic, and this is going to be possibly a new series in the show. And I'm super excited. If you didn't listen to the intro, which I don't know how you could have listened to the intro, because if you're just skipping the intro, then that would be stupid. But if you've heard the intro, then you know who we're talking to today. My guest today is the beautiful, the lovely, the amazing Claire. Claire is my bestie. She is my soul sister. She is soul crew. She is, her and I are in this journey, bouncing back and forth with our pendulums together.
Yeah.
And so we chose to run through this world and go through a lot of growth together. And so when Claire and I talk, Claire and I have just the best conversations. And we decided that there's so much growth, right, within our conversations. There's so much awareness. There's so much truth. There's so much triggering and activating that we just wanted to have a conversation and share what one of our conversations sounds like with everybody out there, because that's just what we want to do. That's who we are. So welcome, Claire, to the show. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I feel like this is a long time coming. When we met back in 2016,
yes,
I feel like we started a journey and we just kind of let it happen and unfold. And here we are 2 years later. And this is kind of what we've always wanted. This is exactly what we've always wanted. It's kind of cool to like see our like friendship blossom into this amazing thing that it now is. And we get to now share that with all of these people.
I know. It's really fucking amazing. You know, a lot of you have heard my story of when my waking, and how that night that we were on that webinar, how I was fighting to not cry, because I had so much coming up and I was getting nauseous and my throat was hurting. And you basically said, bitch, go cry.
I did.
And I cried for 3 hours that night, and then for 3 weeks after.
Yep.
And that was
still
it.
Crying.
Yeah, still fucking crying.
Tuesday tears. # Tuesday tears.
Oh my gosh, for real. Everybody out there, listen. So Claire and I Voxer like all the time. And, you know, Claire and I have gone through our stuff. We started our relationship with codependence. We were both heavily codependent still in all of our relationships. And we were breaking free with some of them. There was little scatters of them, a couple of the big ones that we needed to break free from. But when we linked up, we were very codependent. And so we went through quite a few little growths and shifts. And then we went through one big shift where we kind of like, Claire was like, that's it, I'm done. And I was like, okay. And it was perfect. It was fantastic. So before we get into this, and before we go on, because we could like go down this aisle for like ever and ever.
Oh yeah.
It's like the longest grocery aisle ever. And it's got
grocery aisle. Right.
Right. It's got the kale and the Pop-Tarts.
Amen.
So Claire, I'm going to ask you, which I know we talk about all the time, but I want everybody out there who don't know you, what do you love about being a human right now in this time and space?
I love this question, and it makes me want to cry. So for those of you who don't know me, I definitely do cry a whole lot. So that might happen. But for me, I love being a human right now because there is so much expansion happening, and I feel like everybody is diving in together, whether you're conscious or not. And we are lifting each other up in such a way that is magical, and it's expansive, and it's really amazing. And the women that I have come into contact with over the last 2 years have helped to mold me to be the person that I am today. And they have helped me to understand all the ways that I was standing in my way with fear. And I think that's it. It's just we are in a time where expansion is happening very rapidly, and it's exciting to be, a part of that. So
yeah, absolutely. I love that part, and I love the expansion, and I love the. Claire and I have been following Abraham Hicks for like ever since basically we hooked up, and she's always talking about how we're always on the leading edge of expansion, right? We're always on that leading edge. We're always constantly expanding.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, um, this time and space, I think with even to take it even one step further, like one step even deeper is like, we're starting to be
Yeah.
aware of the
Aware of it.
expansion.
Yep.
And that is what's really exciting for me. That's what's really exciting for me, is being aware of that, because
Yeah.
I believe, and y'all out there, Claire and I, our conversations will flow through many different topics, through multiple different ways. And it's like that winding road in San Francisco, right?
Right.
It's
Yes.
like that's how our conversations go. So we'll start off with whatever, and then we'll move completely different directions. So enjoy this roller coaster. Strap in, arms up, fucking wee. Here we fucking go. I believe that we are not the most advanced human civilization that have lived on this world.
Yes.
I believe that there is thousands and thousands of years ago, I believe that there was a far more advanced civilization that lived. And I have had visions of myself in that through my meditations.
Oh, that's so cool.
2 of them. And that's why there's pyramids. So it's definitely in an Egypt area.
Okay.
Over, at least that's how I can describe it. But there's a metropolitan within it, and it's like, gosh, it's so bright, and jewels, and it's like bricks, and it's like this. It showed itself to me twice.
Okay.
And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Claire and I have great meditations. Claire gets a lot of her visions through her dreams, and so I've been asking my guides recently to show me and talk to me in my dreams, because I haven't been dreaming. And so I'm getting dreams now, but I'm not really remembering them. So I know it's going to be one step further. So my meditations is where visions will come. But leading on with the fact that the most advanced, or civilization, or most consciously aware civilization, I don't believe that we are. I believe that we are a very young civilization.
So do I. We all act like a bunch of babies.
We do.
It's true. We have adults like literally walking around with the thought processes of children.
Yeah. Well, and the thought processes of children who weren't able to actually express their true, authentic thought processes.
Exactly. Because, okay, so that is very interesting. Dave and I were talking about this the other day. He's not really into this kind of stuff, but I just like blah, 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 blah. But I read somewhere about the indigo children, and indigo children are the ones born with their third eye open. And my son is 17 months, and I see him in that state constantly of he is just aware. And see, he is so smart. And some of the things that he does, I'm just like, we are raising a generation of children that are going to be like something we've never seen. And it literally like makes me emotional, but
me too.
Yeah, because, and I didn't, I guess I just thought that as kids, we were the product of really fucked up parenting. And I think we are, but now we are the children of the fucked up parents, and we are rising, and now our children are being born into us, and then we get to help them really start, from that place of being aware and being truly authentic in who they are, and they don't have to wait until they're 37 years to do it.
Oh my gosh. And providing the space for them to be able to do that, holding the sacred space, holding the unconditional love, not tampering or dampering down on thoughts or ideas. I'm going to tell you, it's funny that you brought that up, because we talk about Mikhail all the time being very sensitive, right? He's very attuned. He's very aware. He's definitely my hippie child. He wants tie-dye everything. I love him pieces on this.
And the whole showering thing.
Yeah, for real. I think that might be a 12-year-old thing. But it definitely plays a part. That ended up being, we had a conversation yesterday morning, that ended up being, I believe, a way for him to sabotage himself, because he felt the need that he had to compare himself to his father.
Oh,
He felt
yes.
like he had to compare and compete with his dad.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And so by having that conversation yesterday, I was able to help him see that, no, you don't need to compete or compare with anybody. Your father is him. You are the only Mackay. You are the
Yes.
only MCT. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
that is you. There is no other one. There's 432,000 years from now, I believe this is what I read. And I don't know if I'm doing research on it, but 432 years from now is when somebody else will have your exact horoscope. Yeah, I'm researching that. I'm looking to see if we can
I've
have
never heard of any of that. Oh,
I know. I'm looking to see if we can have Jen. I know I'm like totally like butchering her fucking last name, but it's Jen Racioppi. I don't know. I'm totally demolishing it. But she is a real big. I follow her a lot for astrology, and so. But I've been doing research on that. But the whole point, though, is that there is nobody else that is you. There is only one blueprint that is you, your exact being. And your exact being is here specifically as that exact being in this moment in time specifically. Like, there is no bullshit around this. You know what I'm saying? But when you were talking about indigo kids. I know. Hello, Bubba. I know. And I see Ivan just sat down behind you.
He's
yeah. But Mackay this morning. So my crystal, I can't find my crystal. It's somewhere in my house. I've been wearing my goddess, my fertility goddess. And
I love that so much.
I love it too. Sean's like, it looks like a penis in between. And I was like, I know. I'm like, it looks like a penis and a naked lady. I'm like, it is all about fertility. And I was like, and Mackay was too. When we get back to the story, he was like, what's that around your neck? It looks like a naked lady. And I was like, it is. It's a fertility goddess. And he was like, oh, okay. And like, okay, you know, because
whatever.
That's our house. You know what I'm saying? I got sex books all around the fucking house. Like, and like, you know, you are God books and stuff. So, but anyway, so I was telling him, and this morning I was like, I still can't find my crystal. And he was like, well, maybe that's trying to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah. He was like, maybe you need to look in someplace you haven't looked in a while. And I was like, damn, awake and shit.
Like, that's some deep shit, Mackay. Like,
for real, bro. Like, holy fuck, you straight channeled that fucking shit.
Dang.
Like, and so I was like, fuck, okay, so now I've got to be journaling and being like, okay, where am I not looking? Like, where is it? Where haven't I looked in a while? Where am I, you know? And so my 12-year-old son dropping some fucking knowledge has me fucking expansive as a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Paige is 14, and some of the stuff that she says, like, it blows my mind. And she doesn't really struggle with the stuff that I did. She doesn't struggle with money. She doesn't seem to really struggle with her identity. She doesn't really struggle with a whole lot of that. I mean, a little bit, you know, because I mean, obviously we are all human,
thing,
right? It's a human thing. But for the most part, she is just so incredibly aware in a way that I never was. And so this kind of like gives me a newfound purpose, because we are not only helping our children rise, we are helping those around us rise so then they can help their children. It's just this really large collective rising.
It takes a fucking village, and that's what Sean keeps saying. And I'll tell you, because that is my purpose. When I was 9 years old, I wanted to be a child psychologist, majoring in music therapy. That's what I wanted to be at 9. Okay, how the fuck would I know that at 9?
That's amazing.
Right. So here's how all of the events that transpired, right? So I ended up going to high school. I was, you know, music and shit, you know, and then I got a full ride music education scholarship to UNLV. I went for a semester and a half, and then I dropped out. Then that came about a whole nother series of events, right? I was homeless for a couple of weeks. I was living back in multiple different things and everything like that. Turn around, keep going, all these different events that lead me up to today. And today what I do is I help relationships communicate. I help people communicate with themselves, the relationship with themselves.
Yep.
And by helping them with that, if so facto, they're communicating with their children better, their children now. So the feelings that I wanted as a child to do to help in this purpose is now coming about and manifesting in a completely different way than what I thought I was going to be doing.
So then I want to ask you this. I've been thinking a lot about karmic debt. And so can that be both a positive and a negative?
Yes, absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely. I fully believe that. And here is where I think it's called as a negative debt, right? I feel that it's not so much negative except for the ego's perception, the fact that it's negative, but it's like when the cards come in reverse or as a challenger, right? It's challenging you to shift up, even just, you know how they say when you're hitting it right and you just put the golf club like just a tad a little bit different, you know what I'm saying, and your ball goes exactly, you know. So I believe that when negative karma comes back, it's truly another opportunity that you were given before in another life that you decided not to take. And so now it's coming back for you to challenge and shift one little bit just to see. Take a step to the side. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to take a step back. You don't have to take a step forward. When you don't know what the fuck to do, this is what I do. When I don't know what the fuck to do, I stiff pal, stop, think, focus, pay attention, and listen. I take a step to the side. Because then I can turn. And instead of seeing it still in just one perspective, forward or back, I can step to the side, turn, and see a wider perspective.
Yeah.
You know?
For me, it feels more like a rising above, like a clarity, like a realization. And I'm almost, above it. And I'm like, oh, that's what that was. But but it's almost like, as I'm in it, there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of strife almost, and a lot of growth. But then I can come out and I'm like, oh, that's kind of where that was. I've been going through a lot of this kind of like karmic debt stuff the past couple weeks and just really feeling feelings that I think I played a part in other people feeling. And so now
hold on, I'm gonna stop. Hold on. We gotta fucking stop, rewind, and replay that.
Yeah.
Because what you just said is really impactful for all of our listeners out there, for everybody. Okay. Can you say that one more time, what you're realizing? And I don't know, you may have been flowing with that and I stopped.
I was flowing with it, but I think I said I have been realizing lately that I have been feeling a lot of the feelings that I played a part in other people feeling.
Yes. So that is really, that is really intense. And I would encourage all of you out there who just heard that to write that down in your journal and just let it kind of sit and soak for a minute, because that's something that's really, really, really that was a gold nugget. So I totally disrupted. I jumped in your way.
I know, I love it.
River, right? I'm like, ah!
No, I love it. And so, but like you said, it then gave me an opportunity to grow, and it gave me an opportunity to become better and to see it differently, and to really not only see how, not only see the past differently, but then if time is a huge circle, if you can see the past differently, you can then see the future differently. And so, right? Chills.
I literally almost got turned on, to be quite honest. It was so fucking great. I mean, it really is, because, Claire and I definitely see things circular in motion. I see things more of a spiral, and spirals, but in a circular pattern. So, you know what I'm saying? So we're constantly going up and still, going around. That's why it's a roller coaster, right? That's why it's fucking all that shit. But if you can see the past differently, then you can therefore create a future which hasn't even come to play yet.
No.
You know? So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I think that we haven't allowed the future to come into play because we were so stuck in those past emotions. And then when we allow when we allow ourselves to see the other side of that coin, then it's literally like, oh, I see now.
Yeah.
Because being stuck is truly staying in emotions that are simply no longer serving you. Survival mode, which, I mean, we could talk about that for days, but survival
that'll be part of our retreat.
That'll be a retreat, because survival mode is something that you can legit like discuss for days and days on end, because so many of us are stuck in these feelings that we refuse to just feel. And then when you feel them, you're on the other side and there's so much clarity. I have been feeling my fear lately, like on the floor crying, from my gut. And then I feel power. I feel excitement. I feel sexy. I feel, today I felt serious. I feel serious. I feel bold and courageous. And it's because I've been feeling all of this fear. So I want to ask you now, what does fear feel like for you?
That's fantastic. For me, fear comes in different manifestations. It depends on where I'm at in my cycle too.
Oh yeah.
So, fear for me, to be quite honest, as I'm sitting here thinking, I've really stepped into this. Okay, so look, for a lot of you, depending on when I make this announcement, if you're listening to this or watching this and you're part of the VIP watching us have this conversation, I was laid off on my day off.
Okay. It's perfect, actually. That's perfect shit.
I know. I can't wait to do my post.
So you got an extra day off.
Friday references, right, are going to come out. What, you got still in boxes?
Right.
But so this is a great example to express the shift in fear of how I used to feel it and how it feels to me now.
Perfect.
Okay, so I was laid off. I worked in the mortgage industry for 18 years, a little over 18 years. And I worked in like all areas of it. It was my zone of excellence. And Claire's familiar with this, but if you're not familiar with zone of excellence, zone of genius, all of that stuff, that's part of The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And so I was really great at mortgages. I made a name for myself. I've ran multiple businesses within the mortgage industry. So the mortgage industry is something that is like, when you get school papers from your kids to fill out at the beginning of the school year and you're filling out all that shit, that's what the work felt like to me, because it was just so like, this is like just so
like you could do it in your sleep.
Yes.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah. And and that's how you can tell it's your zone of excellence, because you're really, really good at it, but you're not challenged and you're not driven, and you're not
comfortable.
You're comfortable.
You're comfortable.
So my zone of genius is coaching and channeling tarot and the podcast and conversating and relationship coaching and sexual shame release facilitating and teaching people how to alchemize their emotions and transmute things and all the cosmic mystic witchy bullshit and I say bullshit because it's like out of love, all of that. Right.
I have to say something really quick. Every single time that I talk to you, I swear to God, I have better sex that night. So I just had to say that.
That is fantastic. And that is part of my
That's proof.
That's proof, which is so great. It's so fantastic, and because I get so many great messages, like, we finally had a great conversation, or I masturbated yesterday.
Right.
Like, pushing through things, which I'm going live later on in the Rising Goddess group to talk about a whole lot of stuff. But
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's totally.
I just had to share that with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Like, please, like, as women, we're actually technically supposed to have like 164 orgasms a day. So
what?
I know.
That sounds exhausting.
That's why we need to fuel our bodies, and we need to work out, and we need to fucking meditate. But
now though,
come in different ways now.
I was just gonna say, how do you classify that? Because I have clarity. I have emotional like orgasms probably 164 times every single day. I swear to God, because it feels like,
right. And by definition, orgasm is peak pleasure with a sexual peak within sexual. But our sexual energetic force, our sexual energy, is our creative life force.
Okay.
So because our sexual energy is our creative life force, anytime we are creative, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, then we are at the peak of that creation, whatever that is, then we are orgasming.
Okay. Mind blown, because I've been doing so much thinking on where my focus has been and where I want for my focus to go, and where my focus goes, my energy flows, correct? So I have been putting so much attention on the actual orgasm itself during sex that I have not been seeing all the other ways that I can be technically orgasming. So I miss out on so many other opportunities because I'm not looking for them, and I'm not allowing the actual amazing sexual orgasm as easily as it could be coming, because my focus is not, or has been, on it, and I need it. I quote, need it, right? I've had so many fucked up beliefs. If I don't, then I'm bad, or, if I don't, then oh my God. And the beliefs around orgasms for me has been insane. But I have chills, because that is so much clarity on where I have been asking for that clarity. Like, how am I seeing this wrong? Not wrong, but how can I see it better?
Right. How can I see it better? And let me just fucking say that again.
All the flow.
Right. It's not, how am I doing this wrong? It's
right.
How can I see this better? Because nothing is ever wrong. Nothing is ever a mistake. Nothing is ever bad.
Or right.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything is always is.
It just is. We are is. It is. Things are
and what did Abraham say this morning when I was listening to it? The perfection, understanding and aligning with the perfection of your beingness.
Yes.
Aligning, understanding, and aligning with the perfection of your beingness.
Yes.
Oh God. Yes. That is orgasmic right there.
This conversation is very orgasmic.
This conversation is orgasmic. Absolutely. And when you're focusing so much on the orgasm, what you're doing is you're removing yourself from the actual purpose of the sexual experience, which is the connection of the humans together, which creates the orgasm.
Right.
So it's putting yourself fully in the vulnerable, the fully transparent, 100,000% complete vulnerability with your partner in the sexual experience. And that is how the orgasm comes to really create. It's the vulnerability, it's the trust, it's the surrendering, it's the connection, it's the vibration between the two, it's the co-creation, because we're all energy. All of our energy centers are all lit up, and if you are just focusing just on the outcome, then you lose the whole purpose of the experience.
And that's so true. And I have been, for a very long time, until just really recently, I've been focusing on the outcome in everything in my business. And I mean, we discussed this the other day, just like where, do you remember the quote that I said, and you said, did you write it down? The one about, you quoted me on it the other day too, because you were like,
I believe I did.
You remember what that was? I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was basically like, just when we decide to see things as a beginning and an end, we completely miss the journey, and we keep ourselves out of that journey. And then Michelle started to talk about like the alpha Omega, and
Yes.
how we are God, and we are that already. So forget that shit. Let's talk about now. We are already the beginning and the end because we are God. Let's talk about why we came here for the fucking journey.
Yes, it's the experience. And that's why for me, I mean, I really have that full belief that life is a game. This is really, truly a game because we are consciousness. We are everlasting, everlong, eternal consciousness.
Yep.
People choose to call this consciousness God.
Yep.
But what happens is, and this is what I'm going to talk about in the group today.
Perfect.
Is that when people choose to call this consciousness God, they're actually choosing to separate themselves from this consciousness and put the power in a separate entity and identity based off of their own identity and how they're seeing it. And then because humans are basing that off their own identity, then there's limiting beliefs and then conditions.
Yes. Yes. So, my mom and I had, so my mom is very spiritual, and she tends to have a lot of like very religious and like literal viewpoints of the Bible.
Yeah.
So we discussed on our coffee date on Tuesday about the Trinity. And so she believes that Jesus was sent to save us from sin and to serve as an example of God's love. And I agree. And so I said to her, though, I was like, Mom, I feel like people take the Bible so literally. And I said, think about words. Okay, words, right? We all hear words differently. So you put words into this Bible and you expect everybody to get the same exact message? Fuck that. How is there one truth? How is there one truth when there's not even a truth in our words? The very thing that we use to speak, right? And that is like, so I said to her, I was like, Mom, I really don't think that you can say this. And so she just kind of stopped and the conversation ended. But because we just couldn't like agree on that, I think that people want a solid black and white answer for things, and there is just not one. I think
right.
I think the one truth that we do have is that there isn't a truth, and just flow in that, and just expect great things, just expect love. Love is the only truth. Maybe love is the only truth, right? I don't know.
I was just about to tell you, yes, love is the only truth in my personal belief.
Me too.
That's Sean's belief. He believes in love and good, and you have those two put together, then that's the life that you can live and serve and all these things. And Amen. Sean's on one of his later lives. He's lived multiple lives. And he's had many different experiences in his lives, and most of his lives have been about war and fighting and death and anger and rage and power and money. And this life is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And he feels it. He says, I'm tired. His soul is tired.
Yes.
And so what's so great is Sean and I have been through multiple lives together. So this isn't our first go around. We are definitely multiples together. We've chosen that in many different ways. And some of our experiences, he's hurt me. Other experiences, I've hurt him. Some experiences, we've been enemies of each other. And so this experience right now is the closest aligned in love that we are experiencing in this life.
That's amazing.
It really is. And so, but that's his belief too, is love. Love is the ultimate truth. And the Trinity, I've been studying Isis. I've been studying, this for a while, but, for people out there listening, I've been studying Isis. I've read the Magdalene manuscript. I'm reading it again. I study all of the basically fertility goddesses, the, creation goddesses. And the Trinity, to me, it's actually goddess is part of that, but was removed because of the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And so because goddess was part of the original Trinity, because all masculine doesn't make sense.
No,
that's all control.
That's not how you create. Yeah. How can you create with only the masculine?
Right.
Duh.
Yeah. So, and that's what it is. And so it was fear and power. And of course that leads into the patriarchy. And then of course my personal beliefs is that organized religion is obviously man-made, therefore to create control, because when you can control the masses, then you can go ahead and you can have power. And then by having that power, you can create separation. By separation, you can continue to create and do all of these things. And so then we can go into the Illuminati talk, right? When we can go into New World Order, we can go through all of these things that come through. I mean, and I spent in 2014, it's funny, this is when it happened. Just now thinking about this right now, talking with you, this is crazy, because in 2014, I got let go of the last mortgage job that I had. I got fired because I speak. So I mean, if we're gonna be real up in this motherfucking episode, you know what I'm saying? So that's usually how I get fired a lot. Not the first go around.
Right.
But I was a full-time Beachbody coach then, and I was diamond in that level. I was making like $300 a week, and sometimes more. And I ended up spending that summer, because there was that first summit I went to, and I ended up spending that summer down the rabbit hole of conspiracy videos on YouTube. And it was probably almost all the way until probably that winter. And I completely went down into that tube and studied all those things. But when I think about it now, and this is what I was getting into before, when I think about it now, that was just the very beginning and the sign for me to say, look, this really, Beachbody really isn't for you. I mean, it's for multiple people who really truly have that, but that line wasn't for me. But that's when I think it really started to shift, and I was afraid.
Yeah. To see the truth.
To see the truth. So I dove into all of the other truths that I saw out there. You know what I'm saying? And so now this whole totally conversation completely veered off of fear.
It's a great topic.
Yeah. But so this time, right, I was let go on my day off. And everybody else around me was panicking for me. But I wasn't panicking. I actually had a wave of peace come over me.
It's amazing.
And this is something, and it is amazing because, and this is why, Claire knows why, because for years, ever since Claire and I have known each other, I have constantly talked about, I hate it. I want to get out. I want to get out. I hate it. I can't wait to leave. I need to get out. 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 I need to, And anytime the thought came up or the opportunity came close for me to actually get out, I never did it.
Yep.
And I would sabotage myself because I was still running from my truth.
Yep.
And so when I decided to leave Beachbody, that was fear. Cookie apocalypse was fear.
Yes.
Okay? So that's me eating cookies all day, crying, listening to Abraham Hicks, trying to stay aligned, right? And talking to Claire like,
oh my gosh.
That was fear. But it was the fear of truth.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that I could take that step and line up with the fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when it's the fight or flight fear, right? When you're out and there's danger, it's a different feeling. Your body responds differently to that saber tooth. And when you can start to realize that fear and excitement are the same vibration nowadays, because we don't need to be running from tigers.
No.
We're not running from all of these things. So that fear is going to be, it's different. We've translated it up to our ego.
Yep. It's a misunderstanding between our head and our heart. That's how I like to hear it, or think of it. So I've been playing around with this idea. So I know that Abraham Hicks talks a lot about how our reality, that our realities are a projection of our thoughts, correct? So then, because I know for me personally, I turn off the news. I don't dive into conspiracies or anything like that. And for me, it's created like such a more peaceful world. And so I'm wondering if all of that stuff is only true if we focus on it. And I wonder if it's not even there unless we choose to see it.
Welcome to the Matrix, folks.
Right? And I'm getting clarity on this, like, as I speak, because think about it. Think about all the people, and that is literally where their focus goes all day long. They're in the news. They're on Facebook. They're in all of the trash magazines. They're in all of the tabloids and all this stuff, and they're miserable because they're purely focused on this one quote truth. Again, that's not right or wrong, it's their truth. And then you have us over here who have thrown all of that away, and we are living, and we have chosen to see things in such a way that we're not affected by any of that. Literally, I don't feel affected by the media. I don't feel affected by, the rise and fall of whatever, of the stock market. Like, I don't feel any of that anymore, because I feel like I have myself in essentially a bubble of love. And so everything just kind of bounces off of me, and I just don't see it anymore. And so I'm like, well, shit, does all of this stuff even exist, or have we just created it? It's interesting.
So here's my answer.
Okay.
I've been thinking these thoughts this is really what I've been thinking about since I was a kid.
Okay. I'm too scared to even go there. So these are very new thoughts for me.
Hey, so good thing we're here on the couch, right? So we are all living in our own universe.
Right. Oh, the bubble. And it's what it's filled with. Yeah.
So I had this conversation too with Ani yesterday on perspective, because I told her when I was a kid, I always wanted to know if my eyes were in somebody else's, like if I was looking through somebody else's eyes, would they see the tree the way I see that tree?
Right.
Would they see the clouds and the shapes in the clouds the way I see the shapes in the clouds? So by that thought alone, even if we just take the example with words and perspective of definition.
Yes. Yep.
So we are all in our own universe. We are all projections of the inner world that we have created.
Yeah.
So that's why if our inner world is in turmoil, we don't want to go inwards to our universe. We want to focus outwards on everybody else's universe.
Right. Yes.
Because then we don't have to feel what's going on
in our universe. That makes sense, because I was full of fear and I never wanted to even look at that, feel that, touch that, nothing.
Yeah, no, me too. I was completely terrified. I mean,
yeah.
And we talk about this a lot too. My mom, when she first became a born again Christian, she was in this place. She started her faith from fear.
Yes.
And because it started from that lack mindset and that fear energy, then that's how she perceived the Bible.
Yeah.
That's how she perceived the rules.
Yeah.
And so therefore, that's how I had to perceive them.
Same.
Right. So realizing that we are the Alpha and the Omega, that there is no separation between that people call God or goddess or a universe or light or spirit or source or whatever it is.
Jesus.
That's different. And this is where I have a problem too.
And people call Jesus God and God. It's like an interchangeable thing.
People call Jesus God, but what they don't realize is that Jesus was a man.
Right.
Jesus was a man who was channeling the Christ consciousness.
Yep, exactly.
So therefore, he was God, but so are we.
So are we. Yep.
Because we are channeling the Christ consciousness. And the reason why it's called the Christ consciousness is because that's the only way that we can identify the type of consciousness that we want to live, which is from a place of love.
Yeah. And the Bible says God sent his son, and I believe that part is true, and it was so we could relate to the Christ consciousness. So then we knew kind of what to do and like what that was going to look like.
An example.
An example, right? Yep.
Of what it looks like, but it's a template.
Right. It's not like a one size fits all. It's not like we have to walk around in sandals.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how like people take it. They take it literally.
Right. And so that is definitely, and I'm studying the man Jesus. So the man Jesus had a wife. The man Jesus had a child. The man Jesus had multiple sexual experiences, specifically tantric experiences that his wife was to give to him as the sexual priestess that she was, to energize his energetic body so that way he could be the example of the light walking through the shadow and the dark.
Jesus filled his cup too, y'all. He filled his cup too.
Sexual energy is the creative life force. I am that. I am. And so many people get that fucked up too. And what they don't realize, when God, universe, light, goddess, source, says, when consciousness says, I am that, I am. I am that 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 I am.
And it's meant, and it sounds like I am that I am. And that sounds very like just accepting of where we are and we can't change it. I am that I am. I am that I am.
That's life.
That's life. It is what it is.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie, right? That's where I always got stuck, because I can't, is just this belief that I can't change. And I heard everything in that way. I can't change. I can't change.
Yeah. And that's why
the biggest illusion ever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why when you can shift the comma instead of
amen. Yes.
Instead of like, well, I am that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am that. I am.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important. I was fucking
words.
Words. orgasmic conversation with all the words. I'm loving this.
Okay. I know. Definitely have to make this like probably bi-weekly or bi-monthly. I mean.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to be great, because I mean, we have these conversations anyways, and I think a lot of people are going to actually start to be like, oh fuck, yeah, we're going to be triggering some of you out there, which is great, because triggering turns into activating thoughts. Triggering the emotions activates the thoughts. Yep. And Claire and I trigger each other as much as we can.
Truly.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, yeah, sometimes I'm like, I just hear, Claire, you need to Vox or Michelle, and I do it. And I think a part of me knows like, you need to say this because she needs to hear it. And then we both grow like leaps and bounds from it.
Yeah. And we know when, and we can tell each other, like she'll say something and I'll be like, okay, well, now I'm fucking pissed the fuck off. You just pissed me off. And now I'm just fucking
irritated.
Yeah. So what the fuck ever,
Right.
And then because I allowed myself to feel the fucking frustration, I spoke it because I'm in a safe space. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you because that it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's all reflection, right? Yep. It's all projection and then reflection.
Yes.
Hello, my raising humans. I just wanted to pause this episode real quick just to come on in here and let you know that the registration is now open for my 3-month Master Your Rising Self-Intensive. And this is 3 months of working with me one-on-one along with the other one-on-one clients in a group setting for additional group coaching. But we are diving deep in this. So head on over to www.therisinggoddess.com and make sure you head on over to areas of expertise and click on 3-month Master the Rising Self Intensive and get yourself registered and signed up. This is happening. Registration ends September 30th, and I can't wait. This is going to be a magical experience. Quantum leaps are being made with so many of my clients, and you are the next one to do it. And now back to the show.
And so, going back to your thing about like, is it even there? Is it even there? Fear will manifest itself if that's what you choose to manifest.
True.
And so what these people are doing who are so invested in the external and drama and fear and anger and all of these things, there's a difference between seeing the hurt and then letting that drive you and fuel you to serve, to make better. Mm-hmm. And then there's the going into it and living into it and doing all these things and then getting fearful and constantly living in this state of anxiety and depression and fear. And so by doing that, you're choosing to manifest that fearful life. So it's just like this. Here's an example. Right? Here's somebody as a young girl, she looks at herself in the mirror and she sees this old, haggard, wretched face and as herself when she's older, right? And so she does everything in her power to control the fact to make that not happen. And so she'll use manipulation tactics or she'll do all of these different things to ensure that she doesn't turn into that wretched, haggard face that she saw in the mirror as herself as an older person. But then ultimately what's going to happen is the fact that she is choosing to control, to make sure that that doesn't happen. She is ultimately focusing all of her energy and law of attraction. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She is therefore manifesting. So when she looks in the mirror, she will be manifesting that particular wretched, haggard face. Mm-hmm. By all of the experiences that she chose to create to try and prevent that, to try to control this and control that and control this, she's literally creating each and every single haggard mark and scar and everything.
Yeah, and because we are all living together, we sometimes find ourselves in other people's creations, correct? Yeah. So I was listening to this one story about a man that was in one of the concentration camps, and this is a perfect example of how just because you end up in a situation that is so bad doesn't mean that you cannot still have that control, because he said, you cannot take away my freedom. And what he meant by that was he was still free in his head. Yes, they confined his body, but he was still free as fuck in his mind. And that's really all that matters.
Yeah. And that's really it too, because that's something, you know, that I'm actually working on a post specifically about, that is that freedom is not an external thing that you achieve. Freedom is a choice that you choose to live.
It is. And so that takes me back to this morning when I was not choosing freedom in my head and in my emotions, and I was choosing freedom in my life. And I believe that you can't have both. But what I was doing is I was trying to create freedom and like trying to create flow externally. So I want to sleep in when I want to. I want to eat when I want to. I want to blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until I chose to have that freedom in my emotions and in my heart and in my head that I then swapped it, and I created almost a confinement in my external with, structure and, a calendar. But then that gives me the freedom to then safely be free in my head and my heart, which is really where we want it.
And then you have that time, you have that structured available space and time to express that freedom.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I have now because now I can truly express the real freedom that I wanted, because I still felt so caged because I wasn't allowing my emotions and my dreams to run free, because my external was so cluttered. But that's how I thought that's how, freedom should look. I get to wake up at 9. I get to go to bed when I want to. I get to
the highlights of Instagram.
The highlights of Instagram, right? All these people maybe that's freedom to some people, but that's not freedom to me.
Right. And understanding and accepting that's okay, that your freedom is expressed differently than other people's. And that's what I had to express for myself, and this comes into like comparison mode and stuff like that, right? There's so many different coaches out there in the world. And I see other coaches out there that teach the same thing I do, right? And I see them traveling and doing all these different things, and the highlights of their life seem to be like, oh, well, like that freedom is supposed to be for me. Like I want that freedom. This is where we try to, like the grass is greener, right? But that's not the freedom I want. The freedom I want is different. The freedom I want is waking up at 6 a.m. and watching the sunrise quietly with my sage and a crazy cat running around. Freedom for me is being able to take a leave to my daughter at 4th period if she needs it. And so freedom for me is sitting here for 2 hours, having amazing conversation with my bestie and sharing that value with the world. And I can see right now the different little pings and light bulbs that are going to be popping up all over just from listening to this conversation.
Yeah. And for me, freedom feels more like, it feels this way, at least now. I don't know how it'll feel in the future, but where I am now, freedom for me feels like emotional freedom.
Yes.
Being free to express my emotions how I want to, and in the way that feels good for me, and to feel them without fear. Because for me, the fear felt like control. It felt like panic. It felt like overthinking and underfeeling.
Yes.
And now it's kind of swapped.
And I'm so glad that you brought that up on the emotional freedom, because truly that's where it starts. These things that I say with the expressing it, right? The going to the school or having this thing, that's just the human expression of the freedom that I feel inside. And that takes work. And that's the work that, we work with people in different levels to obtain that, in different facets to obtain that. And, it comes down to desires and your body responding, and listening to your body's responses and listening to your desires and trusting them both together. And fear does feel like that. It used to feel like a loss of control for me, and now a fear almost feels Intriguing.
Doesn't it? Like, it's like excitement with like almost
It's like
with
a
an edge.
suspense mystery novel.
It is. It is.
A James Patterson book.
Right?
For
Fear
real.
can be almost exciting. It's like kind of like sex with pain a little bit, right? It's
I am a little bit into BDSM a little bit.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
kind of like just a little bit of a bite to it.
Yeah. But also, oh God, what was I going to say? This was like,
We're going back to like the freedom, and then we're talking about freedom and how that manifests physically, and the emotional freedom that has to come first. And
right. But it was just before that. Oh God, it'll come through again if it's supposed to.
okay.
But oh God, hear the alarm. I'm telling you, this neighborhood, at least the cats aren't fighting in the backyard.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like desires and shit like that. It's funny. I think you brought up every time, like when we have conversations, you end up having like better sex or a great sexual experience that night.
Yeah.
Why?
Because like for instance, whenever we talked about porn that one day, and how diving into things like that, either thoughts or physical things that make us uncomfortable, when we dive into those things, we expand and we can intentionally grow when we choose to dive into those things. And I think that that's a lot of times the conversations that we have is we are intentionally diving into things that make us uncomfortable so then we can grow.
Yeah.
And then sex afterward, and it can be really anything, but sex afterward is so much more open and expansive, and I'm able to apply kind of what I learned in the conversation in the bedroom. That's how it feels for me anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I love that, because that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, is because by you learning, and porn is a touchy subject for so many people, and there's so many different perspectives of porn. And I believe in regulations, education, and all that stuff like that, which Ani and I talk about on her podcast with her episode. But by utilizing porn, this is the conversation that we had. Okay, so let me just share with everybody the conversation that came about regarding porn. To me, I believe porn is okay. A lot of people find you can get addicted to porn, but addictions, you can be addicted to everything and anything. The vice is not the issue. The vice is just the vice. Porn is just that, but it's used for entertainment, right? Alcohol can be used for entertainment, right? You can get addicted to that, right? Coke can be used for entertainment. You can get addicted to that. You know what I'm saying? Working out can be used to feel good. You can get addicted to that.
Yeah.
All of these things, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter the vice. It's the addiction. It's the issue, is the base problem. The vice is just the expression of it.
And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, isn't it kind of twisted that we live in a society where people flock to the theaters to watch people get their heads chopped off and their eyeballs plucked out, but people cannot stand to sit and watch two people have sex, or three people have sex, or somebody having sex on their own? Like, it's this horrible
because
thing,
that's
right.
And that's part of the conditioning. Part of the conditioning and the indoctrination to believe that that is okay and sex is not, because when people start to step up into the sexual empowerment and realize that they are the creative life force, then they can no longer be controlled.
They can't be controlled anymore. Yeah.
But fear and trauma and gore can control people.
Yeah.
That's why I just made that post the other day. Yeah, I made that post the other day. Like, what was it, like TNT or TBS or something? They can have a 10-show event on The Purge, showing on these commercials graphic, horrific things, but yet nipples are a fucking travesty.
Even breastfeeding, and don't get me started on this whole thing, but
God.
people breastfeeding in public, people have such an opinion about that. But
it's okay for your tits to be out all popping through and showing
right.
everything, but as long as that nipple is in someone's mouth because you decided to sexualize it because you're fucked up in your head about your own sexual energy.
Right. I was uncomfortable nursing for a super long time. Miles is now 17 months still nursing. And he, I have to say, I nursed him at Aldi last week and not a single person looked, said anything, but it's because I'm comfortable with it now.
Right.
When we have to set that pace, we have to set
the boundary.
And that is exactly what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, hashtag free the nipple, hashtag,
free the nipple.
Normalize breastfeeding. That's why it's not a law. Like, it's not against the law as a woman to walk down the street topless.
No.
But,
and yet,
yeah, all the things that happen because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it and going back to the porn, which is why Ani's project is really so important, because sexual education with children, I mean, she noticed, because she was a teacher, she noticed like in first grade, kids were mimicking what they'd seen. So one kid was mimicking deep throating. Other two kids one was bent over and the other one was like running and pounding into her, and like, these are things that they obviously have seen. They've seen sexual experiences. And so education comes quicker. And so by understanding that porn is not for educational purposes as learning it, or not as the expectation that is what you should be, then it could be seen as just like a movie, right? Go to the movies, right? You guys, we watch, fucking Robin Hood Men in Tights. We watch, all of these movies. I would bring up the 80s fucking Mel Brooks movie. That's what I would do, y'all. That's what I do. Oh, yeah. Maybe 90s because Chappelle's in it, but anyways, so we were talking about porn, and I was, talking about how if we can't get comfortable and have conversations with ourselves about fantasies and what turns us on, then we can't have a conversation with our partner. And I was watching porn with my husband once. He watches it whenever, like he'll watch it periodically, have it on his tablet while he's working at night, watering the plants or some shit. I mean, it's better than TV to him. He doesn't like TV, and sometimes Pandora sucks and he just refuses to get Spotify. I don't know. I mean,
right.
He's a tired soul, right? So
yes.
So it's on, and he loves the woman body. He loves sex. He loves all of these things, but he can function in his world without it all around. But so anyways, it's entertainment for him. It's background noise. And so I came out one day and it was on, and I decided, because I started to feel like I wanted to say something, right? You feel it in your solar plexus first. You feel a little ungrounded, a little flighty, and then you feel it in your solar plexus like something's there, and then it comes up, and then it either gets stuck, right? Or you express it. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I was like, and I told him, because I had just come out. Now, look, you guys, I haven't really fully come out to everybody, but I am bisexual, and my husband, we are open with our ideals of sexual experiences with people. Maybe more pansexual, I'm not sure. Oh, I knew the phone was going to ring, y'all. Especially, okay. So I had just expressed this to my husband. He already knew.
He's like, yeah, I know. Thanks. Thanks for cluing me in finally.
Yeah, he was like,
or thanks for cluing yourself in.
Yeah, welcome to the party.
Right.
So, and even my daughter, I mean, my daughter's bisexual. She's talked about it, both daughters. So we're just very sexual beings. But I went out and I was seeing, and I was like, I still feel uncomfortable watching porn. And I said, because I see her body, I see the way her body is shaped, I see the way she's positioning herself, I see her tummy and her thighs. She looks like she has this perfect body, and my body isn't like that. My body isn't shaped like that. My body doesn't move like that. My body jiggles a different way. And it makes me feel insecure, like you don't love my body. But that's ultimately a projection of me not loving my body based off of what I feel like I need to be expected to do this. And what he expressed to me was, while there are men out there who aren't grounded and confident in their own sexuality and alignment as masculine and feminine harmonized within themselves, then they will utilize porn as a way to objectify and hurt their significant other. But the awakened man who enjoys watching and being, because he enjoys watching sex, I enjoy being watched. So it's kind of a great mix, right? So, but he says, babe, her booty is round like yours. Her tummy's got a cute little pouch like yours. You see the way that she's bent? She actually looks like you. So he sees me in these women that he's periodically, watching through. So it's satisfying something for him, but it's about me. And he's like, babe, he was like, I'll bite your tummy all day long. He bites it all the time. He's like, man, your jiggle drives me fucking wild. And I'm like, God damn it, you're so fucking great, but it's understanding too that by me expressing my truth, expressing my insecurities, expressing my fear that he would leave me for somebody else. But ultimately, this is what it came down to. If he's going to leave, he's going to leave.
Right. Yeah, so much.
So it doesn't really matter. I am not attached with him. I have genuine love for him, and he has genuine love for me. I want him to be happy, even if that means without me. He wants me to be happy, even if that means without him. And so we choose to continue to stay together. We choose to go through this life together. We choose to be best friends. We are soulmates. We are choosing to do this. And so by understanding and finding that confidence and that alignment within your own sexuality, with removing that shame, with removing that shame from other people's fears and ideas and beliefs and conditions and sin and hell and the devil and all of these made up things, right, to keep you in control. When you remove that and you line up with the fact that your sexual energy is your creative life force, and you can be turned on by love expressed in many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really part of the conversation, was really just expressing. I mean, if you have a husband, if you have a significant other, this is really, I think it really kind of aligns up with really more of the heterosexual, man-woman relationships and marriages and stuff like that. That's really a lot of the people who I work with. But if porn is a problem for you, I would encourage you to journal why. Why is it Why does it make you feel uncomfortable? How does it make you feel? And don't judge what's coming out, you know? It makes me feel like I'm a slut. It makes me feel like I'm a whore. It makes me feel dirty. It makes me feel like when I get excited from porn, it makes me feel bad. I'm a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
So pouring out, writing it all out, getting it all out allows you to really just objectively look at how you have been receiving your perspective instead of setting the perspective.
And it does. And that's where I come in. And that's what I like geek out over, because when I hear you say that makes me feel bad, I'm like, okay, so you're feeling bad. What feeling are you feeling in your body right now? Where is it located? Is it where is it? And you are associating bad with that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that feeling feels really good. You're getting turned on. You're getting excited.
Right. And it's okay.
And that's yes. And then that person probably is going to want to cry.
Yeah, because then there's the beliefs.
There's the beliefs that just start to purge the fuck out all over the place when you can get people to realize that you're not, that you feel bad, but actually the feeling that you're feeling is a sensation in your body. Focus on that. How does that feel? Oh, that actually feels good. And that feels like, you know, XYZ, and it's actually not bad. And then it's like almost an instant thing.
It really is. And when you said that, you know, how does that sensation feel in your body? What's so important is that what we say, how that sensation is feeling, by writing or being honest with ourselves without judging it, instead of saying what we're feeling based off of the filter of what we think it is.
Right.
So, and being honest with it. So yeah, my lips are swelled up and I'm tingly down there. I'm fucking turned the fuck on.
No one says that. They're just saying, I feel bad. I'm like, no, how are you really feeling?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How you really feel, because it's not bad. You know, you like it. Like, come on, let's get real.
Right. Let's get real. Because honestly, and for me, and this is what's saying, I mean, I can't hide anything when Sean and I are having sex. I can't hide when I get turned on. So if something is said and something comes out about one of my fantasies, it's the truth, because you get fucking wet.
Mm-hmm.
I get wet.
Yeah. I think that humans are very, very vulnerable, and we're not meant to hide our feelings.
Not at all. And that's why I did a post the other day. It's like, you know, how vulnerable are you with your partner? And so many people are not.
No.
And that is because they're so afraid to be vulnerable with themselves.
Yep. It is such an amazing journey to go down. And it's like, to me, that's the rabbit hole that I want to go down.
Yes,
I want to go down the rabbit hole. Yeah. We should call this the rabbit hole. This whole series, the rabbit hole.
Right.
Or something along those lines.
We'll put a little white rabbit on our little things. That's what we'll do. We'll have a little white rabbit for it.
It's true, because people go down the wrong fucking rabbit hole. Y'all don't go down that one. There's nothing there for you.
Right. Well, I mean, and the thing too is that by going down that rabbit hole, I was able to see where a lot of people are shifting, and some of those could lead to truth, while most of them led to fear.
You're right.
But what ultimately it is I don't go down a rabbit hole anymore. I go through a cosmic wormhole.
Yes.
And I fucking get super mystical and super cosmic-y and super spiritual. And you know what? When I want to get fucking crazy weird, I meditate. If I want to get crazy weird, I meditate, because by going internal into my world, which is ever expansive and everlasting and eternal, I have so much awesome shit that I can experience. And then thereby, by experiencing it in my inner world, the game is allowing the opportunities in the scavenger hunt of finding the pieces to express it in the human world.
Yes. And what if the rabbit hole is not actually a hole at all? It's this big circle, and you go through one end and you find yourself plopped out the other, and you feel good as fuck. And you're like, oh, I'm this brand new person because I decided to just start, and I went down the rabbit hole, even though some of it is very scary and I'll probably feel some fear, because I did that. And I felt a lot of shame for doing that, actually. And I'm just kind of like realizing that I felt a lot of shame for deciding to go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, why would I feel shame for that? Because look where I came out.
Because it's questioning.
It is, yes.
It's questioning the truth that the entity was conditioned with.
Right.
The external beliefs and everybody around us in the environment. And so that's where that shame, because
we're talking about question.
Yep. It's the questioning, because it's just like, when you're in church, right? I don't know if you're younger and you're in church and you question something about something in the Bible, there's a stern answer, like you get in trouble for questioning the Bible. And so by questioning the conditioned belief that you shouldn't go down this hole, that this isn't the path you go down, feeling that shame was the indicator that you were moving down the right path. And that's where I feel fear is. Fear now to me is the indicator that I'm about to level the fuck up.
Yes, we were on the same page with that, because I look for that shit. I'm like, how can I get triggered? Let's go.
Yeah, I take action and start creating things that make me feel uncomfortable just to trigger and activate shit to vox you crying.
Yes. I love that so much. It's so true.
It really is. It really is.
I do that a lot in my thoughts. I used to dive into my thoughts and I used to trigger myself via my thoughts. And now I do it a lot. I'm doing it a lot more in the real world now. Like I do it in action, but I had to feel safe in my head first. And it was all safe and sound in here. And then I finally was like, okay, it is safe to do this practice in the real world. And so now I'm kind of starting to like play with a lot more action. My action looks different than it did before.
Yes.
It feels a whole lot better, because I know I'm like, okay, I can, safely do this, because my mind is good. My mind is clear. My mind is all lined up.
You're finding safety in your trust.
Right.
You're finding safety in your heart leading.
And in my bubble universe.
In your bubble universe, because
the action I take has to work.
Right.
The action I take has to work out. Right.
Right. And you're attracting from the vibration that your universe is attracting. So my universe bubble comes around and twirls around with your universe.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Yep. And then yours twirls around mine.
Yeah.
And then other people come through and we're twirling around each other.
Yeah. Having fun.
Yeah. And we're all seeing into each other's universes.
Yes.
Because we're all on the same vibrational field. Mm-hmm. So I can't see a universe if somebody's in the field over here that I'm not on. If I'm in this high vibrational field and somebody is over here, I can't see in their universe. I don't understand. Like when people, and I was going to mention this earlier when you were talking about like, is that really real? Like I don't even comprehend conversations that deal with shoulds or like I can't even understand.
I'm like, I don't get that. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what it is. This is what it is. This doesn't make sense. And so this is what I was going to bring up too, because you were talking like, is this real? Like, is this really like this whole thing? This is where the separation comes in. And this is where two worlds are starting to go. Now we're going to go cosmically with this. This is where the two worlds are starting to split. Mm-hmm. And so you have people who are awakening and creating the new world.
Yes.
And you have people who are stuck in the fear because, oh God, okay.
Let's hear it. Let's go.
The rapture.
Amen. Heaven and hell.
It's already here.
It's already here.
We are already in heaven and hell. How we choose to see it.
Yeah.
So the rapture is that's where people like 144,000 people. I think 144,000 is a significant number. I'm still studying this, but I believe that that's what it is the perspective. The rapture is people seeing, people awakening, and the split happening.
So you asked me that question in the very beginning, and I want to change my answer because now I want to say I love that I live in the world that I do because I have experienced both heaven and hell.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm like rubbing my crystal all over me right now. First of all, if you're like, why can't I see this? That means you need to join the Rising Goddess group, but this is Conversations with Claire is specific for Patreon and VIP people, because these are really intimate conversations, as you can tell. So the audio is going to be on the podcast, but the visual and the video is going to be specifically for Patreon and VIP. So you can get information on the Patreon and VIP by joining the Rising Goddess group, because that's where all the information will go first and beforehand.
I'm gonna have to go here in a minute.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to end this, because you brought it back, you circled it back to the very beginning, and that's
perfect, right?
Yeah, because this is what it's about. Because the conversation, you were in this one space at this moment in time.
I was.
And then we had this entire conversation, and you grew as a human. I grew as a human. Everybody who listened just grew as a human. And so I've got 4 questions for you, maybe 3. Let's see.
Okay.
The last thing you Googled.
What's the last thing I Googled? Oh, it was it was from The Bachelor in Paradise. And I was curious if a certain couple was still together.
Oh my God, that is fucking hilarious. It's so funny. All my friends are love The Bachelor. I've never seen any
episode. Oh my God, it's so drama filled.
Okay, what song or piece of music embodies who you are as a being right now?
Oh boy. So I'm not really into music. I don't really listen to it a whole lot.
That is so crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Because I know that like it is your jam, but
it is my soul. It's the language of my soul.
Right, it is. But for me, so right now I love to listen to chanting, like and all of that, and like the monks and their
shamanic chanting.
Kind of, yeah. I'm loving that right now.
And the like chimes and bells with it.
Yes.
With it.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I enjoy that stuff too. I usually have that on my Pandora station. What spiritual text are you reading or listening to besides the chanting? Or personal? It could be spiritual. It could be, whatever spiritual defines for you.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to dive into a book. Let me get my phone really quick and I'll tell you the exact name, because it's about so I love the brain. Mm-hmm. I feel like Michelle is more the heart and I am more the brain. And I love how things happen. And so I found this book on Audible and I'm pulling it up right now. It's called Mind to Matter, The Astonishing Science of How Our Brain Creates Material Reality.
That is like all you.
Right? It like literally walks you through how our brain literally manifests. So
that's fantastic. I can't wait to hear all about it. There's going to be so many boxers. Everybody out there, there's going to be like, I'm going to wake up one day and it's going to be like starting at like 4 a.m. my time. Right. And there's going to be boxers all the way down. That'd be great.
Right.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my coffee. Hold on.
These are, I'm off.
Yeah, she's almost done.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
These are great questions.
Thank you. And the last question. When was the last time you orgasmed?
Oh, it's been a while, sadly. A week.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm on my period right now, and
that's a great time.
It is a great time, but it's also a great excuse for people who are avoiding that part of themselves. So, I don't want to. I can't have sex because I'm on my period.
Right. So, but you don't need to have sex to orgasm.
Right. I know. Right. And that's, So we'll
talk about that in the group.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. And that is always an area that I'm learning on. It's not an area that I excel in. It's not my area of passion yet, but it will be.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's great. Well, I'm challenging you to have an orgasm today.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And for everybody out there, thank you Thank you for listening. This is like the longest episode, and my conversations with Claire will be long, and that's why it's going to be bi-weekly. So this is going to be something that you guys can just really dive into. As obviously I had the warning in the beginning, most of these conversations would require earbuds or having kids be in bed or in a completely different area than you. And if you are listening to this on the podcast, thank you so much. Make sure you download, of course, rate and review, because it is your love that keeps me going, because it is the truth, right? Love. And Claire, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited. This is going to be fantastic. I can't wait to hear all the messages and see all of them and all the people replying and sharing all of their ahas and their journal entries. And yeah, so thank you for being on it. And everybody, we will catch you on the next one. Later.
Hello, my rising humans, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of Rising Goddess Radio. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I just wanted to come on here and say thank you. I'm grateful for your energy and your time. And if you haven't already, head on over to iTunes, download Rising Goddess Radio, rate and review us. And this allows us to go ahead and keep going in and sharing the value, the benefits, and all the amazing teachings that Rising Goddess Radio offers to so many more people. And if you haven't yet, head on over to Facebook, to the Rising Goddess group. Come and join our group. We have a wonderful community. We talk, we share things, we dive deep, and we have so much fun. So I'm so excited to catch you on the next episode. Have a fantastic, amazing, magical day. Later.